You have seen from the ground up what it takes to really build, a brand in a major market.
Well, we're in a transactional business. It's amazing when lawyers start to advertise, they immediately want a result. I don't care. I've never met a lawyer that said, well, I'll be patient for as long as it takes. I mean, they say that, but you can't live that because you're writing those checks.
I see people shaking their hands.
Yeah, I know. It's very kind of interesting watching all these. And it is a long play game. Now, at the same time, you do have to bring in business, I would say immediately. Now, being in business means the phone is going to ring and you're going to sign up cases. There is such a responsibility factor on your side to make all that work. I've harped away at intake and conversion. I've harped away at messaging. One of the most very important things that you have to take into consideration if you want something to work very quickly, answer the telephone. Answer it in the proper way. The proper way is to be compassionate, do something different. That's one way to get it going quicker. It's amazing how many times lawyers will advertise, and in fact, almost every lawyer I've ever met in my life, and that's a bold statement, almost every lawyer I've ever met, has the biggest hole in their bucket is intake and conversion. Why? Because they think they just need to answer the telephone. Well, that's not true. You can spend all the money in the world, and if you don't have a handle on intake and conversion, from metrics to compassion to being real with the client that's calling you, it'll take you a lot longer to get down the path. But we're in a transactional society. We want action quickly. But be realistic. Be smart about it. It is a business. There is no retail business that I know of that broke even in the first year, 2 or 3. In the legal arena, it takes 18 months, 2 years, sometimes 3 years to resolve a case. So you better be prepared. Success is very relative. Lawyers say, well, I'm successful. I know it's working if I'm signing up cases. Well, that's true, but you have to have the cash flow to carry that, to the end. And the most important thing is you have to have the cash flow and the ability to practice good law. I mean, the real money that's spent is not in the advertising. It's in satisfying the situation, the client, investing in the client, in the case. And so all of that has to do with being successful. And I think that's how you get down the road.
Well, and when it comes to branding, you're not going to know exactly where a case came from. Like, I'm sure Joe doesn't know exactly which conference it was that he spoke at every single time someone refers him a case, right? So when I get phone calls, I don't know which video it was that resonated, right? I think that is something that frustrates lawyers too. They're like, I've been doing videos and I've been doing branding for 2 months and, my intake hasn't increased. And it's like, when you're talking about building a brand, that is definitely separate from, other types of marketing that you may see that direct impact. And so you have to definitely be willing to play the long game. I have seen in a year an increase in the quality of my cases, right? But can I directly pinpoint that it was this video that resonated with that person who referred the case? No, but at the end of the day, does it matter? No. So I think that often frustrates lawyers, is it's like, well, how do you measure the results?
Yeah, I think on the brand building though, I think that everybody has to be very intentional, right, about what you want your brand to be and what you want it to stand for. And I think that would help guide you in determining how to build it. And also, to your point, I think that you have to use, when you first start out, you have to use a lot of different vehicles. And then I think as time goes on, you begin to sort of filter out what works and what doesn't work, right? But I do think that you have to have some sense of, I'm looking at Kelly and Caitlin and Nicole. If somebody said, I want to go to Caitlin, how would they describe Caitlin, right? Why would we want to go to her? And so I think you want to be clear about that as you are building your brand and you're thinking about that. What do you want to be known for?